I mean, they're using traps and shit.
Yeah,
Oh my god, it's 1v11. I swear to god, it's 1v11.
Oh my god. Well, I'm back to spot.
Oh, the fucking Seeker Mine, I hate that shit.
Oh, yeah.
Most OP thing, like, when you've got that many players.
They're coming.
I know.
I got that. Easy. Easy. Oh, you got it. Oh, you got stuck in the fucking door.
Look how many players, bro! Oh, fire holster as well. Like, how much fucking hand holding do you need? Still on fire.
I got it. I'm still on it. It's like. Oh my god.
Like, this is what's wrong with the community, like actually.
Bro. I know, that's why I'm laughing hard. Fucking dog shit players, bro. My god, this game needs to be burned to the ground. Look at it!
Hey, nice sheet.
Like, how many? The whole server. The whole server.
Du bist ein Arschloch, ey, du hast mich immer an den Eiern, ey. Der hat mich immer an den Eiern. Ich habe aber nur noch eins.
Nein, 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 nein!
If it wasn't for the big shield, mate, I would have killed them all.
What did I just win?
My lord, this game. They had a skill build fire, they had a fire holster, a big shield, seeker mines, EMP stickies. And what was I using? What was I using? Just headshot. That's it. That's all I use. And they use all of that. Yeah, everyone, what's going on? Welcome to the rooftop of DZ West Southern Extraction. This is what it looks like from up top. And do not ask me how I got here. I will not be sharing that. Gotta love the visual bug. Nice to see. If you have that on PC, just go to your volumetric fog and put high. That will completely eliminate it on most servers. I believe this to be a server-side issue that can be made up by, well, increasing your volumetric fog. Moving on. Today I want to bring to you one of my favorite builds. Well, it was my favorite build for a bit. It was a fun sort of slight, you know, alternative to the classic headshot build, which looks a bit more like this, you know, Foxconn Draptor Walk, everything headshot weapon handling or headshot crit chance if that's what you prefer, usually with a FAMAS instead of the test subject. However, due to the nature of this build being, well, 2.1 million armor, you know, going for something more tanky is actually, it looks weird, it looks very, very weird, but believe me, it does work. Every roll is headshot on the primary, and if there is a spare roll on the high end, I went for weapon handling. That is on every single roll. That makes your reload time quite quick. So it means, like, for example, if you have really good reload speed from weapon handling, right, and you're fighting a guy, and, you know, let's say you trade and he's got crit chance, he's going to deal more damage to you, but if you are even by the point of the reload, or if you manage to reload right before him, you're going to reload and then shoot him you know, a good half second before he shoots you, and that means that you can acquire the head and hit that head before he can hit you. And even though weapon handling is objectively inferior to many other roles, especially when you go for crit, you could just be going for crit damage and then, you know, with these inferior weapon handling rolls, go for crit chance and still have some level of crit. You can do that if you go, you know, full crit, but because I'm not a crit player, I prefer headshot. I wanted to basically exhaust people's body shot aim, you know, into my tier 6 shield. I want them to break the shield, break down my adrenaline rush, of which I'd have 2 or 3 procs because I'm always outnumbered, and then have to break down my unbreakable to be able to kill me. My total armor, right, with a full stack of adrenaline rush, which is 36%, with my 2.1 million armor, if we check out the actual value, it's 2.1 on the dot, so my armor goes to just shy of 2.8 million with adrenaline rush. Now remember, I get these procs every 5 seconds. Over a 10-second period, I'm getting an additional, what is it, like 700k armor? You know, high over 700k armor. 700, sorry, it's actually almost 800k armor, my bad. But almost 800k armor every 5 seconds, providing that I'm surrounded and they are depleting that armor. That is 1.6 million armor every 10 seconds just for doing nothing and being outnumbered and running around in circles. So over a 10-second period, let's say you go in for a face tank, you haven't popped a medkit, you're talking about, you know, 1.05 million armor with 1.6 million armor. That's 2.65 million armor. That's just from the talents. Add that to the 2.1 million armor, that's 4.7 million armor. And if you add the drone, that's an extra 10%, so that's 5.2 million armor. You can see how, you know, even though this build has next to no damage, even though I do have a Fenris, I have a Prov, and I have headshot damage absolutely everywhere, with a Walker, which does also give me an additional 5%. I've got N-Sync giving me 40%, and I got my Firewall Shield giving me 13%, which is Amplify, for every target in front of me. And you saw in the intro clip, I did 190k with the Eagle Bearer, when my regular damage without the shield is around 90k. So I more than doubled my damage by being outnumbered and with the shield active, with the drone active. I'm so tanky. And other than the Firewall Shield, and you could argue Adrenaline Rush, there's no cheese in this build. I mean, the drone isn't cheesy. The Firewall Shield, depending on what side of the fence you are on, is cheesy or not. For me, it's the only way to protect from crit damage body shot players who, you know, cannot aim and still deal massive amounts of damage. So for me, this is the answer to cheese rather than the creator of cheese. It forces players to, if they want to kill you the fastest possible, to aim at your head, forcing the headshot fight. You want to make the other player play into your style of play. So with a tier 6 shield, with Adrenaline Rush, you can sponge quite a bit of damage, and once your Unbreakable has been procced, you want to have your alternative chest piece, which I actually have on me, but because I haven't been using this build much, I've got it lower down the list. You want to have an additional headshot, and well, I have crit damage. You can't have them all, right? So this is my alternative chest piece, Intimidate. So when I lose my Unbreakable, what I do is I run away with drone and my Adrenaline Rush. You should keep me alive long enough. Of course, you're going to want to get your strafe on, get around that corner, all right? Pop that med kit, you know, and then go down to Intimidate, and then get out of your chest piece. If you want chest piece swapping, you're just behind the curve. I'm sorry, all this white knighting, all this wasted effort is just pointless at this point. The devs are not going to change this, and if they do, it's going to be on the big update, by which point we're going to have instant medkits, which may or may not have been influenced by the chest piece swap. Hey, and if it is, I want you to get on your knees. I'm joking, calm down. But then, of course, you are a 2.1 million tank. You have 40% additive damage from perfectly in sync. You have 30% amplify from here for every target in front of you, which seemingly doesn't have a cap. And then you got a 35% amplify. All the headshot damage. You do still damage. Like, I'm doing 200k with 6 blue, with a weapon that doesn't ever run out of bullets, because yes, while it is slow RPM, while it's not a best in slot FAMAS, the FAMAS is good on higher damage builds. When you go for lower damage, your mag runs out too quick. You're doing a lot of you know, holy shit, wait, if you swap weapon, your TP increases the magazine size on even the weapons in your menu. I didn't know that. Damn. Anyway, you know, you're shooting a FAMAS, and yes, it does still fire for a while because I had the TP mag buff. You know, you don't deal enough damage to track people that are strafing, right? Because you don't do any body shot damage, right? So you don't really want you can use the FAMAS, but I suggest that you use the test subject, or I don't think I carry it on me anymore, the AK. I mean, the FAL, definitely not. The magazine is far too small. You want the test subject. Of course, the test subject only comes with 2 mods, which is probably one of the reasons why nobody uses this weapon, but they seem to forget that it is an incredibly stable, now I do have weapon handling, mind you, but it's still an incredibly stable and an incredibly accurate weapon. And when you move, the accuracy of course diminishes like every AR in the game. You can see the spread does open up quite a bit. But you know, when you are in, let's say, a 1v1, or if you are fighting behind cover, you can afford to stand still and just focus on your aim, on your micro adjustments. Hot on a bit, mate. Easy, dog. Oh, easy, vulture. Easy 1v1 bleed. So this build is as weird as it looks. If you're looking for a build to improve your aim with, if you're looking for a build to improve your movement with, this is perfect. Now, I did say that before when it came to the regen build, and this is absolutely still a fantastic build to aim train with and to movement train with. And you've got the hazard protection version for when you're trying to do it and everyone is using status. You can have 80 Hasbro with regen. Unfortunately, with this build, you can't really get Hasbro unless you sacrifice all your weapon handling rolls. You can get it to, well, 10 base, 20, 30, 40, 50. If you sacrifice the Giller, you could go for Yao and get 60 Hasbro. It is definitely doable. You're going to lose your weapon handling rolls. Your gun's going to be a little bit harder to control. You're not going to reload as quick. And, well, you might feel as if the build isn't quite doing its job. But you can get 50, 60 hazard protection on this roll, on this build, and still continue to fight through the sludge that the, you know, the enemy, well, the server is throwing at you. Because no matter what you use, the enemy will always bring status. And if you haven't got hazard, you are going to deal with it pretty harshly. You know, a big shield foam pistol build is going to still, you know, 4-tap you. And if they're good with it, they're going to foam you and they're going to 4-tap you. And if they don't 4-tap you, they'll weaken you and you won't be able to get away from them because they've got armor regen and a big shield. So even whatever you damage them, they can just run at you and just whip out the big shield and play defense, which is not aiming and just, you know, anticipating your movement and putting their shield in advance as to where they're going to be aiming at you from. And so if you fight against people who know how to defend in their big shield, you're never going to take out a big shield foam. But if you have 50 Hasbro, well, they can't foam you for long enough to land 3 or 4 headshots. They're going to maybe land 1 or 2 if they're good. And at which point you might be able to do a bit of funky, you know, shield proc, you know, shoulder swap left side, shoot the side of the head kind of thing. Because they will run out of foams. And when they're out of foams, well, you know, they not really much they can do unless they're a really good big shield player. Now, I know on console, big shield is not really a big issue. Headshots are not really that popular, but guys, it is time to move away from crit damage, okay? It is the most stale way to play the game, in my opinion, and I've got many more opinions on that. But if you're looking for and besides, who says you can't proc finisher, alright? You're tanky, you can just medkit, alright? Where's my chest piece? You know, you could take some damage at mid-range, you know, maybe break some players' shields down, grab yourself a finisher proc. I'm not going to do any damage at this range, no way. Let's see if I can though. Hold on. This is when you want no field of view because you need your well, aiming. Let's take that down. Now I can see my target, although my sensitivity feels off. Oh, easy finisher proc. So, you know, of course, if you're smart and you have the armor and the time to allow someone to shoot you while you proc their decoy or whatever, then you could proc yourself a good finisher. And oh my god, my sensitivity is awful. Oof. Horrible. Horrible. Let's go down and put that right back to 25. Really, it's horrible. I can't aim like that. Now, you're going to have that in sync. You're going to have finisher, which with the orbit, and that puts you at 45 crit chance and 85 crit damage. That ain't bad. That is not bad values. When you also consider the fact that you have 180 headshot damage. Or 185 if you drop the accuracy headshot, accuracy for the headshot. The only problem with this is your optimal range goes down by 20%, which in my opinion is only worth using in 1v1s when you're fighting within the optimal range. Otherwise, if you're fighting server fights with this build and you do want to, you know, have some good damage at range, I do not suggest you use this. Unfortunately, you can't put any of the big headshot scopes. Otherwise, I would actually suggest, you know, in some situations, you drop the regular thing for the headshot, the big scope with a 30% headshot damage, and then just main the eagle bearer for close range. EB with this build is actually surprisingly good because you can take a lot of damage even if you don't get to kill players, which often you will not be able to kill the 3 and require to reduce the incoming damage to 0. You'll be able to maybe get a couple of kills or 1 kill, take a lot of incoming damage, and then if you're smart, you go cover to cover. You get your firewall spec proc, 30% bonus armor with adrenaline rush, and then you can swap weapon, and then that should allow you to not die in one shot from the incoming damage that was mitigated by the tenacity buff. And then what you could do is you could use the test subject for range with massive headshot damage. Unfortunately, you can't do that because it is a carbine weapon, so yeah. So ladies and gentlemen, that's pretty much the build. What other ways could you run this? In case you're wondering, like I said, you could even go with the named RNK holster. and with a third bulwark. But I don't suggest you go for armor regen, because armor regen is inflicting or conflicting with unbreakable, which is something I want to talk about in a separate video. There is an interaction that stops unbreakable from proccing. Otherwise, you could go with a third bulwark for the extra health damage. Extra shield health, 50%, which is equivalent to 1 skill tier. And if you drop the Giller for the RNK named, you will lose the weapon handling, but you would gain, a useless roll here, but you would gain what is up to a tier 8 shield. And so the more damage that you can sponge from the shield, the more time you have to land a magazine to the enemy player's head. I haven't actually tested this myself. I'd like to test it and report back when it is actually done. But yeah, I've already kind of made this build a couple of months ago. I've been there, done that, I've used it. I finally did a character and maxed it out. So yeah, I do not bring unmaxed builds to you guys. It is not within... I just don't do that. The drone is absolutely essential to making the tank tankier. Although if you're running up against big shield, you may want to opt for a EMP sticky or a foam. The foam is good against big shield crit players. You know, they don't have any hazard protection and they're going to cheese you with body shots of like 800-900k. I'm sorry, that is not balanced. The foam is absolutely justified against big shield crit players, absolutely. So don't be afraid of using it, okay? Status is there to be used. The problem is, if you're running a build like this with no status and you use status, do not complain with another player brings status against you. Which is why, if you want to use status, make sure you have a 50% hazard protection version at the very least. 40 you should be able to get away with considering you are tanky, but yeah, that's pretty much it. Maybe actually don't drop this for the concussion. The reason being is you can actually nade yourself at range when you know you're outnumbered and you're gonna need that med kit. What you can do is you can nade yourself. I've got my walking mode on, oops. You know, you can nade yourself. Chest piece swap, and you can even go straight to your other chest piece and then rush forward, proc that drone. Let's go, mate. You know what I mean? You got your intimidate, you got your drone, you got your med kit, your firewall shield. You're actually going to be dealing maybe 150 damage with the eagle bearer if you've got a couple targets in front of you with intimidate. Even with 2.1 million armor, it's crazy. And if you do get that EB proc, because of your perfect adrenaline rush, you know, the moment you get the next refresh of blue armor, you're going to retain your intimidate throughout the eagle bearer and actually have so much damage, even as a 6 blue player, that you're going to melt 2, 3, 4 guys. The only problem is you have no body shot damage. The moment you fight one big shield, it's an issue. You saw in the intro clip what one big shield did, what one fire did, you know. So this is why solo PvP, in my opinion, you know, if you're not running Hasbro, is honestly just not a great experience unless you are a top 5-10% player. This is not a solo game, this is a team game, and the last month or two I've only been playing in teams. All of my loadouts are team-based, also team-based, team-based, I don't use that solo, team-based. I can use this solo a little bit, but it's really more team-based. I can use that solo, but it's also more team-based. That is a solo build, but can be used in a team. That is a solo build, solo 1v1 build, this build, and then of course a mortar build, which is of course for the team. So I'm pretty much done with like extended solo play, but that doesn't mean that I'm not going to bring you guys builds that you can use while solo. This is one of them, and thank you guys for watching. In a bit.